Are you overwhelmed with all of the decisions and everyone constantly contacting you about your child? It can be a lot, especially at the beginning. And what I'm about to say to you today will instantly change the way that you see this mountain of decisions in front of you and will bring more ease to your life today. So let's get started bringing that ease and simplicity to your life right now. Hey, Mama. Welcome to Raising Deaf Kids. Do you want more ease in your daily life? Do you want to help your child learn language faster but have no idea where to start? Do you find yourself searching for how to learn sign language and best ways to practice speech goals? Hey, I'm Elaine. I'm a mom of three littles, two of whom are deaf. I remember when I received the hearing loss diagnosis for our child, there were so many decisions and information overload. I lacked clarity and confidence and yearned for ease and balance in our lives. It was then that I discovered strategies to support our kids' language development at home, and I even helped them learn language faster. I can't wait to share it all with you. So put down that to-do list, close out that ASL app for now, and let's get started. Did you know that I have a free community of women just like you? Busy moms who want to help their kids learn language faster while still getting all of the things done in the house each day. In the community, we share strategies to help our kids learn language faster and lean on each other for encouragement and support in this up and down journey of hearing loss with your kids. If you haven't found your community yet, then welcome home, Mama. Come join us at facebook.com/group/raising deaf kids. You know how you feel like your house is a revolving door of people coming in and out, and your phone is probably a revolving phone of phone calls and decisions and people wanting to help you. And it can all be really overwhelming trying to decide what to do with each decision and what to do with each interventionist or therapist who, wants to help you and wants to help your child. I remember when I first had a child with hearing loss, everyone contacted me in my state, which is good. But I did not know who was contacting me, who they were. And honestly, I did not really understand what each organization did until this year, which is 8 years and two kids into hearing loss. And I now like work part-time for my state's EDI program, early hearing detection and intervention, which I guess they contacted me when I first had found out my child had hearing loss, but I have no recollection of talking to them. I'm sure that they did because they are very good in our state. I probably just had no idea who they were. And you probably feel the same way. You're like, all these people are contacting me. I gotta go like this appointment, that appointment. I don't even know what these organizations do. And my child is a baby or my child is really young. Like, do we even need all of these things right now? And just like you, I had to take a step back and do what I'm getting ready to tell you to do. And that was I had to stop and I had to just implement one thing at a time. And that's what I want you to do today. And that's what we're going to talk about today is when you have all these things coming at you and they're overwhelming and you have a bunch of decisions. The tip that I'm sharing with you is that I want you to implement one thing at a time. Put it all down, pick one thing and implement that or make that decision first. When you've got that under control, move it on to the next. So today we're going to talk about why this works, why you don't want to, if possible, make all the decisions at one time, and why, if it's possible for you and your family, you want to stop and just focus on making one decision at a time. So the first thing or reason that you want to implement just one thing at a time is that it helps make decisions more clear for you. You are making a lot of decisions for your child right now, and that's honestly not going to end. You're going to continue making a lot of decisions for your child. They're just going to be kind of like bigger decisions. But I know that a lot of times you don't even know who is recommending what, or who's with what program, or how all of that fits into your child's development. So focusing in on one decision at a time allows you to go all in on that one thing and make sure that you get that one thing right first, then you can move on to the next. Right. And make sure that you can really focus in and understand the organization that you're talking to, what they do, how they fit into your child's like overall well-being or overall plan for hearing loss, or for whatever else you need for your child. And you can really focus in on making that one decision and doing it well. So what I want you to do is I want you to mentally or even physically write out on a piece of paper and lay out what are all the organizations or people you're talking to, what are all of the decisions that people are asking you to make. And I want you to make the decision by order of importance or necessity. What is the decision that is going to affect your child right now, today? And make the most like crucial or important decision right now. Think through it, make that decision fully, bless and release that decision, and then move on to the next. So, number 2, why this helps you is it makes sure you get it right. Okay, so when you're trying to think through a lot of things at once, your brain is crowded and it's hard to know what you're even thinking. Okay. You also don't want to backtrack and make this decision again as much as possible. Like, you want to try to get it right as much as you can with the information that you have the first time, instead of like doing something, not thinking through it, and then just having to like go back to the drawing board. You want, you want to get it right. You want to make the best decision that you can at this time. So going through this one decision at a time really helps you think through and treat this decision like it's the foundation by which all other decisions are going to be made, which is true, right? Each decision we make builds on the next decision. And each decision that you're making right now is going to lay, the next part of the foundation for the next decisions that you're going to have to make for your child. So it really is like laying a foundation and building, the kind of like well-being of your child, like up and up based on like every decision that you're making. I don't know if that's like a weird analogy, if you're following that, hopefully, but that's what is coming to my mind right now. So consider all sides of the decision, which you can do easier and faster if you only have one thing to think about at a time. And making one decision at a time also helps you control your nervous system and helps you regulate down or deregulate your stress. So we just had a whole podcast on this on Wednesday, and I'm going to link it in the show notes, but I spoke with Charlotte on the podcast Wednesday about regulating your stress and deregulating yourself. And it was a really great podcast. So if you have not listened to it, I suggest you go over and listen to that after you finish this one, because this one's almost done. But we talked about, how to regulate your nervous system and why that was important. It is important in having to make multiple decisions, and having to make multiple decisions at one time engages our flight or fight response. Fight or flight? One of those. So basically, having to make lots of decisions at one time creates a perceived urgency. And some of these may not all be urgent. Okay. Some, therapists or professionals may think it's urgent, but then when you go back to the whole, puzzle, holistic well-being of your child, this decision may not be as important or crucial as like another decision that you have to make. But having people tell you need to make this decision right now or quickly continues to build up urgency in you that is perceived, because not all these are probably urgent. And some urgency is okay, but there is a point that you can have too much urgency and it tips you over the edge and raises your cortisol and actually keeps you in this fight or flight cycle. And we don't want to live here. Like I said, we talked about this on the podcast on Wednesday. We don't want to live in the fight or flight cycle, because it raises your stress, raises your cortisol, and is a whole thing. You have to go back and listen to that podcast, but it's not healthy for you. So you need to stay regulated and have a controlled nervous system to think through and make these decisions in the first place. Okay. So just doing or making one decision at a time allows you to keep your nervous system regulated and controlled so that you can rationally think through and make the best decision possible. I want you to use the tools that we talked about in that podcast episode with Charlotte that I'm linking in the show notes. Go back and listen to it. And we gave you a couple of tools to go ahead and use right now. And I want you to go ahead and start using those to initially get out of that fight or flight response, get out of that fight or flight cycle. And then once you are out of that, you can start focusing on your one thing at a time to make a decision on. So basically, a lot comes at you when you first have kids with hearing loss, and it really dysregulates your nervous system to have to make so many decisions at once. And every specialist deems every decision important and urgent. But your job as the parent is to take in all that information and decide what is actually urgent for your family right now and work on just that. Once you solve that one thing, move on to the next thing. Basically, take it one bite at a time, and it will be better for your health and allow you to make the best decision possible. If you're having trouble regulating and making some of these decisions, or you just don't know what to do, or you don't know what's urgent and important or not as urgent, then come book a coaching call with me. We can 100% talk through this and decide what is actually urgent, what isn't, what needs to be handled first, and we can come up with a plan that is a lot less overwhelming for you. I would love to help you and your family out because I know how hard this is. And I remember how crazy it was at the beginning with all these decisions coming at me fast and furious and kind of having to like flail and muddle through them. And I don't want you to have to do that as well. And I would love to come along beside you and your family and help you discern what you need to do right now and what you can maybe wait on, for a little bit later. So if you want to book that coaching call, go to raisingdeafkids.com/coaching, and the link will be in the show notes as well. And I hope this episode today calms your soul because as parents, we want the absolute best for our kids. And unfortunately, kids, especially kids with hearing loss, do not come with a handbook. Wish they did. And I want you to know that simply by being here and listening, you're doing a great job as a mom because you're learning and trying to find better ways to help your child. I am so proud of your efforts, and I'm so glad that you're here. And I will see you next week. I hope you have a great weekend. Hey, Mama. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and subscribe to this podcast? I never want you to miss an episode and to be without valuable information to help you and your family. Also, please leave a quick written review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. Now go check off the rest of your to-dos so you can love on your family today. And I'll meet you here every Tuesday and Thursday for podcast episodes to support your whole family in language learning. Ciao, Mama.